Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья! Меня зовут Мария Рапопорт, и вы на канале «Жизнь с нуля в Израиле». Путешествие по Европе в августе этим летом я сделала 2 ролика, где рассказывала, что лично мне не пришлось столкнуться ни с какими антисемитскими проявлениями, и я даже подумала, что, может быть, это такое большое преувеличение, что все кричат, что во Франции, Германии, в Швеции и где-то там еще стало евреям жить сложно. Может быть, все придумывают? Но тут моя дорогая подписчица и уважаемая патронесса, друзья, подписывайтесь на Patreon, ссылка, как всегда, в описании. Спасибо всем моим патронам огромное, преогромное, потому что если бы не вы, не было бы ни этого канала, ни этих роликов, ни той истории, о которой я сегодня вам поведаю. Вот эта моя патронесса написала мне, что у них в Швеции, а живет она в Швеции, случился ужасный инцидент. В июле на прайд-параде напали на ее друзей, потому что на них был израильский флаг. О том, что произошло. И история этих людей, а их там было 5, я собиралась рассказать в одном этом видео. Но интервью с ними со всеми получились такие интересные, что, скорее всего, роликов будет 3. И вот первый ролик, первое интервью с 2 участниками этой истории я вам сегодня предлагаю. Ну а чем эта история закончится, вы увидите в следующем ролике. Подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте лайки, пишите вопросы и комментарии. И спасибо огромное всем, кто это уже делает.
My name is Ellen, and this is my husband Rasmus, and we live in southern Sweden. And we were attacked following the Malmö Pride parade back in July. Yeah.
What happened?
And the Pride parade itself was really lovely. We had a nice time. And we reached the final destination on the course, which is Folkets Park in Malmö. And from there, me and Rasmus and 2 of our friends decided that we wanted to grab something to eat. So we left the park, and we were only about 5 minutes away by foot when the attack started. And since we were marching for, to represent LGBTQ plus Jews, we did have some Israeli flags, Stars of David, on us. But that was it. We were very careful to only have the flag. We had nothing political. We had nothing about the hostages. We had nothing at all, just rainbows and stars. And so that's what we had on us a few minutes down the road when a car actually started to shout. Somebody in the car started to shout at us, and the car slowed down to kind of follow us a little bit. And then they actually parked the car and got out. There were 2 people in the car, and so then they came out and actually started. My husband was wearing an Israeli flag, like a cape, so they focused on him. So they started to have words with him. And then maybe you can describe this a little bit, because we weren't next to each other at this point. You was a little bit ahead and I was a little bit farther back, because I was trying to get my camera started to record it, because I felt this was not going to be good. So what happened to you?
Well, basically, the passenger in the car came up to me and started questioning why I was wearing the flag, and he tried to grab the flag off and yank it off me, because he was like, give me the flag, and tried to rip it off me. So I pushed him away, and then the driver, came at me. So I just like defended myself, threw one punch, and then they backed off and were very verbal and shouting and screaming, but they were like backing off a bit when I weird them off. But then as this was happening, we were outside this hairdresser or
Restaurant. There's some businesses on the corner
yeah,
right
and
there.
it just started, like a crowd started gathering
There were,
around us.
yeah, I would say 10 to 15 people came out to circle us and sort of watch the spectacle that was happening. So nobody came to help us. They all came to watch and to film, and started to be verbally abusive towards us and me specifically, and tried to hit me several times as well.
And when they came out there and the people in the car backed off, some of the people from the business started joining in, like shouting, "Oh, you and we will fuck your mother," and excuse my language here, but
Did they just say, like, as we say, bad words or aggressive words, or like horrible things about you, about your personality, or they were specific about Israel, Zionism, or something like that?
Yeah, they very much started the confrontation by asking why he was wearing the flag, and then asked if we were Jews, not if we were Israeli, by the way, since we were wearing the Israeli flag, but they asked if we were Jews.
and then they called us
Child murderers, and the usual standard blood on your hands, you murder children, you're trash. And then the other things kind of spiraled. They called me a whore, which I don't think is very unique to any specific situation, but it started out being very Jewish centric to just very hateful towards the end. Everything got thrown in.
Did you answer anything?
The only thing I ever responded later was I mentioned that free speech applies to everybody, meaning that I really wish they would have left us alone and just let us walk down the street to the restaurant. But
well, I didn't like discuss with them, like confront or anything, because I realized straight away when they exited the car that this is a very hostile situation. So I was like very passive and trying to not saying anything triggering. But
you did say that you were wearing the flag because you were trying to represent.
oh well, that's
before they got out of the car,
because
though.
they shouted, "Why are you wearing that?" And I said to them, because I am representing them, and by them I meant the Jews.
Yeah.
So basically,
And
you did say that you were Jews, right?
We didn't say we weren't Jews. It was pretty clear. He had an Israeli flag on, and then our two friends had shirts with giant Magen David on them. So we were very covered in this. So yeah, I mean, none of us are Israeli, but we are Jewish, I guess.
What I'm trying to figure out, that they stopped the car and went out of the car because they realized that you were Jews, not only just supporting Israel, because there are many people who are not Jews are supporting Israel and wearing flags on the demonstrations or meetings or something like that. But do you think they stopped the car because you said that you were Jews?
That's the thing, though. We never said, yes, we're Jews. The closest we got to saying that we were Jewish is Rasmus said that he was representing the flag of Israel. Here in Sweden, there is a lot of confusion and interchanging with Jew and Israeli, so much so that even though I'm not Israeli, I come to assume that if people are talking about Israelis, they also mean me. So the fact that they were asking if we were Jews, um, I mean, it's noteworthy that they didn't say Israeli because of the flag, but I'm sure that it's the same concept. So while none of us said yes, we are, I think it was clear being covered in Magen David and having a flag that that's exactly who we were. And when we weren't able to give a satisfactory answer, I mean, they were saying that we kill children right from the car before they even parked. When they couldn't really answer, I guess to their satisfaction, then they parked the car to start the physical altercation. So it's clear that they had seen enough to make that decision at that point.
I do realize that right now in Europe, it looks to me like this, that Jews and Israelis is kind of a one thing in the opinion of other people. So they do not make any kind of definition. This is Jewish person, this is Israeli person, whatever. So do you feel this attitude during your everyday life when you are not wearing Israeli flag or Magen David or any other, symbols of being Jewish?
Yes, I think that's very common. And I've never really felt comfortable being openly Jewish in the entire 10 years I've lived here. Uh, First of all, long ago, back towards the beginning of those 10 years, it was because I wasn't sure how safe it was. And now I know it's definitely not that safe. So I wouldn't risk it, to be honest. And I really find this quite interesting, actually, because of the inability to differentiate between Israel as a country and Israelis as citizens of a country versus Jews who are members of an ethno religion, but a religion. I'm from the United States, and I never recall, for example, when different presidents were in office, that anyone would come to me and treat me with the attitude that just because I was born in the United States or born a certain way, that I automatically loved and supported the government no matter what they did. Whereas just because I'm Jewish and not even Israeli, I automatically love the government, everything they stand for, all of their choices, and this is dangerous because what people mean when they start speaking like this is that I love killing children and I'm so proud of carpet bombing Gaza or any of the TikTok talking points that are being tossed around that day that are also usually horribly false. But it's really dangerous to get into that sort of interaction because I would never, ever say that I'm Jewish if someone asked me in an accusatory fashion, like the people in the car did. Are you Jewish? I said nothing. Of course, I said nothing. But we were covered in flags at that point, so there's not a lot to say about it either.
So what you said that during all these 10 years, you felt uncomfortable saying that you were a Jew in Sweden. Wow. Wow, even in Russia, I didn't feel that way. Never. I always thought that I was a Jewish. Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either, or else I maybe would have considered moving here. I'm not sure. There's such a small Jewish population here that there was a lot less exposure. And when I do talk to, now my friends and some colleagues about it, I'm like the only one they know, even though there are some more of us around, of course, but it's like there's no exposure, there's no baseline understanding. You can't buy any Jewish products in grocery stores. I buy my matzah on Amazon. Like it's so isolating. So what's the point of saying I'm Jewish? The best I can do is like, oh, don't celebrate Christmas. What am I gonna say?
Do you go to synagogue?
No, that's tricky. There is a Jewish community here. There is a synagogue in Chabad in Malmö, but I was raised Reform and they're conservative. So there is a bit of a clash with the culture. We did recently join a shul in Copenhagen that's egalitarian. So we've started to interact with them more, but it was hard to find common ground, common footing because you know how it is. We're a different flavor, so it wasn't clear how the overlap would be. So yeah.
Are any kosher shops in the place where you live so you can buy kosher food?
No.
No.
For example, one of the times when I finally gave up and realized everything had to come from Amazon or my family in the United States was um, not just matzah, but one year I was thinking, where am I going to find Hanukkah candles? Usually I have a ton of boxes, but one year I realized I actually didn't. And so I was looking. There is one kosher deli in Copenhagen, so about an hour and a half away from here in another country. And the other suggestion I got was if I went to the Jewish Museum of Copenhagen's gift shop, they might have candles there, which made me feel like more of a relic and an artifact than I ever thought possible, that I could only find something to celebrate my holidays in a gift shop of a museum. So that was kind of weird and uncomfortable too, actually.
And now it's probably dangerous even to go to this gift shop.
Yeah, probably. But then again, so many things have changed in the past year that our baseline level for what's dangerous or the kind of risks we're willing to take has shifted a little bit, because even though it is risky to go and gather as lots of Jews in one place to either gather or demonstrate or march or even just observe the high holy days, these are risks we're more okay taking because the importance of community is important like it's never been. So it's kind of like whenever I leave, I try to give my friend a spare key and instructions for the cat just in case, but we go anyway. What do we do? What do we do? I'm tired of hiding. It's boring. 10 years of this. At least I know there's people around now.
So what's the plan?
What's the plan?
$1 million question. I mean, we've been trying to talk about like where can we live
Where?
where we can feel safe, because like I am from way up north in Sweden, basically this little
Yeah.
town no one's ever heard of, and like 4 people live there. And so I'm used to that kind of living where I'm just able to be alone, so to
And
speak.
well, that sounds attractive because then finally people would leave us alone. Then I know that there's no Jewish community, and I know my life would be Amazon forever. And now we're mad at Amazon too because of the spokeslady the other day. So it would just be different. And we have been discussing this. Where in the world, the whole world, would be better because it doesn't feel comfortable here. And
I mean,
we've got a list on the wall and we're doing like prison tally marks based on our feelings each day. It's hard to say.
I mean, we've even discussed moving to Israel because even though it's surrounded by a lot of tensions, to put it in good words, it's still a place where you don't at least get attacked in the streets like we did.
In broad daylight with passersby telling us we were making too much noise and to stop it.
And with police 5 minutes walk away, and it took them 20 minutes to arrive after I called them
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay, tell about this part. So did you call?
Yeah. Rasmus had a whistle, so he was blowing it to get people's attention so someone would maybe come and help. Nobody
call
came.
the police.
Right, nobody came, nobody helped. And then once you started blowing the whistle, I think the 2 guys in the cars realized they didn't want to be a part of that, and so they took off. And then you have the ability to call the emergency line, and one of our other friends also called at the same time. So there were 2 calls at that point. And then after how long? 10 minutes or something?
15 minutes.
You had to call back again. So that was actually call 3 and ask where they were. And it was a big deal because, yes, of course they were close, but they also asked us to stay where we were. And from an evidence perspective, I understand they'd like to see the scene of the crime, but we were exposed in broad daylight, and they asked us to stay put for 20 minutes. And, God forbid they come back with reinforcements or something. We were sitting ducks. They told us to stay where we had been attacked. So it was already wrong from the beginning. 3 phone calls and staying put and interviewing us in public in broad daylight with people walking past and eavesdropping.
And
Yeah.
just the fact that even when I'm blowing the whistle and people are paying attention to what's going on, no one calls. And then we have to call police. And it's like, it's over now. For now, they could come back also when they realize that, hey, the cops haven't showed up in 10, 15 minutes. We can come back and continue.
All we have to do is facing the immense betrayal we feel by the entire society around us who didn't prioritize us when we were in need. I think that based on the current situation and supposed racial tensions, perhaps, it's not the strangest thing that there could be a group of people that would find a problem with how we were dressed. Yes, perhaps. But the thing that really, really hurts and makes me very uncomfortable is nobody did anything, even when we were begging for help. And the people that did notice came by and told us that we were being too noisy and stop it, like we were bothering some children and like it was our fault the whole way through. I got so tired of trying to hide this part of who I was that I feel like I'm being so rebellious by actually choosing to go be Jewish in public. And it's just the way that we're being treated by any random passerby or the police is so uncomfortable. It doesn't paint a good picture whatsoever. Really not.
Not only the police, but the prosecutor or the whole justice system.
Well, what I can say, welcome to Israel.
Trust me, we are so close. I'm looking forward to meet you someday. It sounds weird that someplace like Sweden could be as dangerous as it feels right now. So a lot of things we assumed about the world or took for granted have really been turned upside down. Hence a lot of serious conversation about what in the world should we do about this.
Thank you very much for your story. Be safe, be brave.
Thank you.
I wish you good luck in any decision you take and whatever your plan will be after our talk and further. And we do support you in this case, absolutely. And
Thank you.
Thank you.